Hello, so I'm Dr. Charlie Shuttleworth. I work as a psychiatrist. That means I help people. I'm a doctor who helps people with mental health problems, and I'm based at the Aldershot Centre for Health as part of the Community Mental Health Recovery Service there. And I've worked here for approximately 10 years. And I thought it'd be helpful just to explain a little bit about what we mean by mental health. So when we refer to mental health, what we're referring to is the mind. And many people are not aware that mental health problems or problems to do with the mind are extremely common. So approximately 1 in 4 of us will have a mental health problem that's recognised at some point in our lives. So it's really important that we're aware of this for our loved ones and ourselves and our friends and family. So I thought initially it would be helpful just to talk about what we mean by the mind. So we're all aware that we have a physical body, and it's easier for us to understand that when we're not in pain, when our body is helping us do what we need to do on a day-to-day basis, that we think of ourselves as healthy. But it's harder to imagine that our mind, which is essentially all the processes such as our memory, how we feel, so our emotions, our thoughts, our sense of who we are as a person, how we relate to the world, so importantly things like relationships, all of that is connected with the mind. And there are times when the mind can become unhealthy as well, in the sense that we aren't able to do all the things that we want to do. We may not be able to remember things in the way that we once could, or our emotions may be different, so we might be persistently much more unhappy or not get enjoyment from life, not have the energy to do things, or we may be much more worried than we normally would be, or we could be much more confused than we normally would be. So there are lots of ways that the mind can go wrong, in the same way that the physical body can go wrong. And essentially the mind is a process. It's not just something that happens in our brain, it's a process of how life continues to try and survive and learn, keep us safe, and that sometimes that can go wrong. So that's what we mean when we're talking about the mind and mental health. And just in the same way that most of us will have problems with our physical health, and all of us eventually will have problems with our physical health, most of us, or a lot of us, will have times in our lives when it's more difficult for us. We're more stressed, we're more anxious, we may be more unhappy or get confused. And many of us, as I said, perhaps as many as 1 in 4 of us at some stage in our life, that will be bad enough that it would be recognised as a mental health condition that would benefit from an assessment or treatment by a doctor. And usually in the first instance that might be talking to a loved one or family member that you trust, and if you can, then organising a visit to your general practitioner to talk to them, and there might be lots of ways that they could then help you with that. If you like, I can then start to think about some of the types of mental health problems or some of the treatments.